Hello, and I'm going to talk about the mock draft that I have written over on my new site, MLB Draft and Prospects. Now, it is, at least for now, it's going to be the place where I write. It's at mlbdraftnow.blogspot.com. I put up 72 picks, but because of where life is right now, I just didn't have the time to do the writing that would go with 72 picks because I am a long-winded writer. So instead, I thought I would take some time and explain the players and why I've put together this list and its format. I always do the sleeper to go with each one, and I'm just going to go through, and I'm going to go through the first 11 because White Sox fans are going to be pissed, and I don't feel like dealing with that. But there is a logic there, so I hope they will hold with me and wait for that logic. So let's just start at the top. The Tigers, Spencer Torkelson. Most people have this one locked in here. It makes a lot of sense. The Tigers on a whole have for some reason refused to draft middle infielders through their history. Scott Moore in the early 2000s was a shortstop. I think he was like the 8th pick in the draft. Could be wrong. But he was pretty high. He was at least an upper first round pick. I think top 10. And that was the last time they took a up-the-middle player. They, I believe, have taken less than 5 shortstops in the entire history of the draft in the first round. It is just, it's not their thing. I don't know what other way to put that. Torkelson is a safe bet. I'm not as sold on the athleticism as I know others are. That's not to knock him. I still think he's a potential top 5 first baseman who can hit for power, average, and get on base. He could be a truly, truly special bat. There's always the concerns when you look at size. Arizona and Arizona State have both had some players struggle and leaving the friendly confines there, which just always sits in the back of my head. I'm not really concerned with it as much, but it's something that kind of lives back there in my thinking. But Torkelson's a safe pick. Number 2 on my board makes a lot of sense there. My only concern would be, let's talk about, I'm pretty sure Boris represents him, and in this year where these players are not going to get a lot of money, I could see agents taking a lot harder stance on signing bonuses. Fine, we have to wait for our money, then we want a larger amount. We're going to get more money down the line because you're not paying now. So he could reset the market for signing bonuses. I could see some of these guys at the top absolutely making some huge demands with that knowledge in place that we're not going to get hardly anything this year. So we want to make sure that when we do start getting it, it is significant money. And I could see Scott Boras in particular being someone who comes up with that point of view and pushes that. So there is, I think, some area to have some wondering how much it's going to cost. If they don't go with Torkelson, I think Lacy makes the most sense. We know the Tigers love their high-velocity SEC arms, and I know they have a ton of fantastic pitching. I agree, they have probably my favorite collection of pitchers in the minors right now. But at the same time, you can never have enough pitchers. The Braves are kind of showing us for all of their waves of pitching. Very few of them have kind of stepped up and proven themselves as arms. We have a lot of guys who can look really good in the minors, but not until they kind of prove themselves in the majors we can be sure. So it never hurts to have more arms. A year ago, the Baltimore Orioles reportedly took a long, hard look at not going without Adley Rutschman and saving some money to spread around. When they had the first overall pick, they went with Rutschman, who was a supreme talent, and it was a logical move when you look at all the parts and pieces combined, positional value and the like. This year could be the year where they try to go under slot, save more money. And when you look at what's why they considered a 4-player draft at the top, maybe 5 if you're really big on Zach Veen. Gonzalez is widely viewed probably to have the smallest bonus of the group. He makes sense from an analytical standpoint, not because of what he did in New Mexico State. Everyone hits in New Mexico. Any concerns I have with Arizona and Arizona State are minor in comparison to the ones with a player from New Mexico State. With Gonzalez, you're looking at what he did in the Cape as his primarily what really is giving him a lot of value. The fact he went there and proved himself. If there are some concerns, it is the fact that this year he did not do well when he got a chance to face premium talent. I believe their last series was against Texas A&M, and Asa Lacy just made him look bad in that series, but he's making everybody look bad all year before the season was ended. Again, if they're looking to save money, if they're not, if they just want to go for the top talent, then that is Austin Martin, who I have as the sleeper. He's the number 1 player on my board. The Miami Marlins. It has been talked about that their scouting director, I believe it is the scouting director, Shivik, top of my head again, he was a recruiting coordinator for Vandy. he knows a lot of these kids. J.J. Bleday was a player he knew well. The Marlins were very conservative a year ago. This is a draft where people are thinking teams are going to be the most conservative we've ever seen. If Martin's on the board, it won't take but a moment to rush up and make that pick. He's put up some elite contact numbers when you're looking at things that help predict success in terms of batting average and on-base skills. He is just dominant in all of those areas and fields. So I think he is a pretty easy selection if he is still there at this point in time on the board. And again, because of their conservative nature, if I'm looking for another hitter, if we're assuming that they, for some reason, don't go with Martin and that Gonzalez is off the board, then the next college guy up getting notoriety is Kjerstad from Arkansas. Kansas City is in a spot at 4 where they're just going to take who's there. I strongly believe they're going to take who slides. It is a 4-player draft. They have the 4th pick. We'll see who's there. In this case, it's Asa Lacy. I know a few years ago they went all arms, but again, you can never have too many arms. I'm not necessarily sold on all the arms they drafted that year anyways, so Lacy could come in and compete for the best arm in that system. I feel like the ability to miss bats, what we've seen with him, I mean, yes, there's some concerns with the control numbers, which is interesting because I didn't have those concerns when he was a high school kid, but the velocity jump, I think he's still learning to kind of harness his velocity. But it's an easy pick, I think, for them at that point. And if they're not going to take him, then Zach Veen makes sense, is kind of the guy who's put himself 5th in this class, just behind the 4 college players. He's there, so he makes sense. Toronto Blue Jays, they like their college performers and they love bloodlines. Detmers, the one knock is fastball velocity. He does everything else so well. His dad got up to AAA with the Cardinals. Gives him that bloodlines we talked about. I am extremely high on him. I think he's one of the top 7 or so talents in this draft. I think this is a great value pick. I think he fits in right about there. He might even end up being 5th when it's all said and done on my final big board. I am not as much concerned about velocity as your ability to spot a pitch, your ability to control the zones, and the ability to spin it. And I think Detmers can do all of that, and I think he'll be very successful very quickly in the majors. Tyler Soderstrom, I almost had him as the pick, I'll be honest. I could see them maybe taking a chance again. You know, Dad was a major league player. The Blue Jays are all about bloodlines. I don't think they've had a first-round pick since Shapiro and Atkins came in that was not someone whose brother, father, uncle, or grandfather didn't at least play in the upper levels of minor league baseball or not a top-level college performer in their own right. So those guys make sense. And then the third name you have to mention is, Heston Kjerstad, because again, his brother was a minor league player, so just something to keep in mind. But at this point I had Detmers in because I think how he works as a pitcher and everything with him kind of fits what we've seen in terms of the Blue Jays. Seattle Mariners are again a team we just have to see who's on the board. I think we're all thinking college talent because this is what they have done. They've kind of taken the sliding college talent with upside. When you look at the recent years with Gilbert and George Kirby, Emerson Hancock at one point in time was viewed as the top player in this class. He was just average this year out of the gate. He has really good stuff. My concern, I've stated many times, is I'm always concerned when I see a guy who has stuff that good and he doesn't miss enough bats. Back when I was first writing, it's why I was significantly lower on Jeff Hoffman at every step. While everyone else was talking about him as a potential 1-1 before his injury. And I just can't understand when your stuff is that good, especially when Hoffman, I believe, was at ECU. It's like he's facing lesser competition. He should be getting better performance. So I always get nervous about that. The upside is Hancock is pitching in the SEC. He is not performing badly. He has a fantastic walk rate. All the other data is good there. It's just the injury concerns that have arisen through the time and the lower strikeout rate. It pushes them down the board a bit, but it sets up Seattle for a pick that I think would be pretty easy for them at that point, as they are also in arm accumulation mode. The sleeper, we just keep talking about Kjerstad because he's the top bat on the board, as it were, at this point, top college hitter. So for a team that is very college heavy, he's going to be the guy you're looking at. Pittsburgh Pirates. So I went through and I looked at Cherington's time with Boston, and he started out it was a sandwich basically. He did college, 2 prep players in the middle, and then college at the end. The last one was probably the most successful in Benintendi as a college player. The first college guy, Devin Marrero, I want to say. We haven't seen much. The prep players, we'll have to see what Kopech and Chavez do. But the other one was Trey Ball, who is one of the bigger disasters for the Red Sox in terms of a first-round pick recently. So I went with the safe thing because, again, teams have not had the exposure. They have not had the chance to go out and see these players as much as they necessarily would like to. And because of that, they don't have the long history of data. And again, it worked out pretty well last time. Charrington took a Arkansas outfielder. Jerstad has big power potential. There is some swing and miss, but a lot of people, he was definitely one of those guys where the arrow was pointing up at this point in time, before everything went on pause and hold. We'll have to see where he ends up, but it feels like he is clearly in kind of that top 12 value range. So I'm back with this. I'm going to try to combine the ends. I'm kind of learning how to use some of this streaming software, so eventually when it comes draft time, I can do a lot more of that. But for now, I hope you'll stick with me through some of the ups and downs on this. I do realize that I cut off the sleeper there, and the sleeper for the Pirates is if you're going to go with a college arm at this point in time, then Max Meyer is likely the guy. He could go as high as 5 to the Blue Jays. I would not be shocked if he went 4 to the Royals, if I'm being perfectly honest. He probably has the best secondary pitch in this draft, and some would argue the best fastball. In today's day and age, he could be a dynamite opener. He could be a multi-inning, high-leverage reliever. There's a lot of ways you could use him if you are concerned about kind of the build. I can see people having concerns thinking about Tyler Jay, who was a reliever for most of his career, slight build, Big Ten guy. It was at Illinois. Illinois. I always say that state wrong. I apologize to people who live there. Illinois. And then didn't work out for the Twins after being a fifth pick overall in the draft. He was at least top 6, let's put it that way. And stuff like that sticks in minds. And we have not really had a Big Ten player get hype since Jay. And I wonder how that will affect Meyer. If they do go with an arm, though, I think he would make sense. And I honestly think, this season's going to be crazy. Someone like Max Meyer could pitch in the majors this year, just based on the fastball slider combination. Again, top of my head, so I apologize if I misnamed the pitch. I just want to point out, as you can see, I have the site down here. I do not have the link, but I already mentioned it earlier in the show. We're just going to switch over now to the next few picks, different color. Again, working on something new. For the Padres, they were so pitcher heavy for so long. That's why I have Jared Kelly there as a sleeper. But last year they went with C.J. Abrams, who was top talent on the board, top athlete. And we're just looking to add athletic talent with high ceilings. That's Zach Veen, who is widely considered one of the top 5 to 6 players in this class. At this point, he is a good value. The only reason he's getting pushed down the board is because teams, by all accounts and everything I'm hearing, are very much college first. They've got more tape, they've got more background, they have a bigger trust with some of the coaches and the like. So he slides a bit. The Padres seem like a natural fit, though. If he gets past the Royals, I really feel it's like Royals, Padres, and that's kind of like the 2 landing spots for him. White Sox fans, calm down already. I can hear you getting mad at me. The Rockies, a year ago, they took Michael Tagalia from UCLA. They know Garrett Mitchell well. They've been extremely conservative over the years. In my first mock, I had Dylan Dingler to them with one of the compensation, or I should say competitive balance picks. He is fast rising up boards. I'm hearing him connected to all sorts of places. Mitchell, it's all tools. The question is, will he put together? The Rockies have loved toolsy players in general. Tagalia did not have a great junior year, but he was a big power guy. They like power potential. Mitchell has power potential. He also has speed potential. He's unproven yet. UCLA's development has not been the strongest over the past few years in terms of anything, it feels like. Sorry, UCLA fans. You've had a lot of great talent, but guys just haven't seem to make a step forward when you expect them to. Mitchell might have. There will be the diabetes concerns. We have to mention it, but I kind of roll my eyes even as I state it because, I mean, really, we're going to be worried about diabetes in 2020. He can manage it. I have faith in diabetes being manageable. A lot of people do. The Angels. I had a nice long 75-minute talk with Taylor Blake Ward. We talked about a whole bunch of stuff. He gave his stamp of approval, though he also could see them going prep. He might actually have them go prep, I think, in his. But if they don't, Max Meyer makes too much sense, especially as a team that's kind of built for now. We talked about that he could be a quick to the majors type of guy, that he could help out a team sooner rather than later. If you are looking for someone to help with this core you're building that is for now, Meyer makes sense. In terms of just talent evaluation, Meyer at 10 is a good value. He makes sense at every level. And Hassel is I think he's set up right now as the number 2 prep bat in this class. I think Hendrick has kind of slid down some boards because teams are looking for more certainty. And there's concerns with Hendrick and with his age and hit and miss. And Hassel, people have always loved that hit tool. So with him, I think teams are looking for safety over ceiling in a lot of cases. And Hassel is a bit of a safer prospect. Okay, so I've been joking about this because I've had a really good relationship over the years with White Sox fans. I think it's mostly because I keep getting their picks right. The last 2 drafts, I correctly predicted their pick in September. What am I saying? In, I guess technically October 1st, but I wrote it in September. But I correctly could just set up the dominoes. Yes, they have a change in who's calling the shots in the draft. But it is that person's first year, and they had limited chances to scout. And this is a super conservative team, and everyone assumes that maybe this is the year they don't go with the bat. And Patrick Bailey is widely considered the guy here. And I'm going to tell you why I think Dingler makes more sense. A, there's a bit more ceiling. B, he's going to have a lower signing bonus. And C, they have some ties to Ohio State and the Big Ten in general with the White Sox. I'm not saying that they are close with the program, but I know it is a program that gets seen. Dingler was just exploding at the start of the year. Really good numbers. Now, he was kind of an under the radar guy in that signing class for Ohio State. And that's the best signing class they have had in the entire time I'm covering the draft. By far, that class is probably better than all of the other classes combined in terms of the last 6-7 years. And that's even with losing Xavier Moore to Texas on day 3. And Dingler was always a solid guy, a good athlete, and the more I read about him, the more I kind of put him the number 2 guy in that class myself, behind Lon Sway, who is also in this mock. But the production is there, the upside is there. I think he has, again, a higher ceiling than Bailey. Bailey, there's some concerns with the hit tool. Dingler, I think, has better power potential. He's unmolded, but again, it's a ceiling thing. And Cade Cavalli is someone that a lot of people like. I'm a little bit lower on if they went with the college arm. I think in a lot of places he'd be considered the top college arm left, and that's why I put him there. Now, here we go. Hear me out. Why Dingler here? 1, college bats are going to fly off the boards. If you want to get a college bat in round 2, you can sneak ahead and look at my mock. It falls off quickly. I have almost everyone who's been even remotely rumored as a first-round college bat gone by round 2. A few of the college arms, because it's such a deep college pitching class, slide. A lot of prep talent slides, and I think that's how it's going to play out. All reports we're hearing is college and college bats quickly in this draft class. So if you take a prep player here and try to go back and get a college guy, that's not going to happen. It's a huge drop-off. 2, what you will have slide are those prep players. So you could get a first-round prep talent in round 2. I have no doubt about that. And 3, again, Dingler is going to be significantly under, I think, the slot value for 11, which, look at what the White Sox did last year. They went out and they took Vaughn, took the safe guy, and then they came back with a pair of prep arms. They went for one of the riskiest prep arms in the draft in round 2 in Matthew Thompson. Now, if we jump ahead, I'm still learning how to do software, so I can't jump ahead in here to show you what it looks like, but I'll tell you how I have to the White Sox in round 2, and that's Dax Fulton. Dax Fulton is a left-hander who's currently hurt. If Dax Fulton doesn't get hurt, he might be the top prep arm in this class. He is probably the top prep lefty in this class, in my opinion, if he doesn't get hurt. He might still be the top prep lefty in this class, even in spite of his injury. a really good pitcher, a really high ceiling. But again, he's hurt, and teams are afraid of taking more risk when you have 5 to 6 picks, and you didn't get a chance to see all these kids. Well, you got to see as much of Fulton as you were ever going to see. You get Dingler here, you save money, you get Fulton round 2, and then round 3, I'd have to look who's left on the board. We can go around and, again, get another high talent. They could essentially come away with almost like 3 first-round talents, because Dingler is a first-round talent. You could get him and get 3 talents, or you could swing away here and take Jared Kelly, and then in round 2 end up taking Alika Williams from Arizona State, Anthony Servito, Ole Miss. Those are like the guys I still had on the board at that point. Trevor, I'm going to butcher it, Hauk from Arizona State. It falls off quickly. So it makes more sense to take the college bat, save money, and if I just pulled up in front of me and looked at who I put in the second round, Justin Lang had come off the board a little before them. Other Carson Montgomery, who I've had in the first at various points in time. Caden Williams, if you want to go with a bat. Jared Jones, the California kid with the big arm. Carson Tucker. Jace, another name I'm going to butcher. Bo Heffron. There's a lot of interesting guys. Chase Davis, from who's committed to Arizona. And that's kind of the situation now. Maybe they could even come back and get someone like Mason Wynn, a really interesting developmental right-hander in round 3. There's so many potential players that make a lot of sense, and that is why I think Dingler works here. I think they are still going to be conservative in round 1, and I think then after that they open it up, which is what they did a year ago, and I think that's probably what we'll see with the White Sox again. So I like teasing the White Sox fans because over the years they've been really kind to me. It's like White Sox, Royals, Angels, Indians, Padres always stand out as kind of the fan bases I owe the biggest thanks to. So I will do that now. I also want to give big thanks to everyone who's watching, looking at this new approach for me as I do all of these picks. We'll see how it works. I'm just, new world, new site, trying something different. So thank you. Check back. We will do the next 11 very soon.